Hi, I'm Weisinger, registered nurse, lactation consultant, mother of 5, grandmother of 3, also a baker, a personal chef, and a self-appointed lice expert. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and then Teaneck, New Jersey for about 22 years, and as of 8 months ago, Jerusalem, Israel. I say self-appointed lice expert because there really isn't any formal training. There's no school, certificate, courses, degree, no special letters after my name. It's just something you learn by doing it, learning on the job. And about 30 years ago, I learned when a guest came to my house with many, many, many stowaways that we did not expect. And I had to learn how to deal with it very quickly. Apparently, I have a knack for it. And eventually, I became the lice queen of Bergen County, serving the Jewish community and beyond in that area. And I've seen thousands of cases in my career as a lice expert, and I've developed some techniques and a bit of a knowledge about the topic. Now, why are we discussing lice? Why today? Why here? Well, if you're a woman and you're once a girl, if you have children or no children, if you're an aunt, a sister, a cousin of children, if you're a teacher, if you deal with children, a therapist, anything, you've been exposed to lice at some point, I'm sure. You've either dealt with it, cleaned it out, been exposed to it. Everybody has some exposure to lice at some point, especially the females with the longer hair that are more susceptible. What are lice? What is this big thing that everybody's so afraid of? Well, it's a tiny little bug. It's called pediculosis capitis, and these bugs live off human blood on the scalp. The bugs, the adult bugs, are about the size of a sesame seed, even smaller at times. And they're grayish, brownish, but even the color of the scalp and translucent. Sometimes really hard to find when you're looking for them and you can actually see their guts. The nymphs, the babies, are very, very tiny, even the size of a poppy seed. And they are usually dark brown. Being that the color is easier to find, they're too small. They're really, really tiny, so they're very, very difficult to see. So when we're looking for lice, we actually don't look for the bugs. We look for the eggs. The eggs are called nits. And there's a common misconception that you can have nits but no bugs. There's no such thing. You can't have eggs without the bugs to lay them. So often I would get phone calls. Hi, the school nurse said my daughter has nits, but she doesn't have lice. Well, yeah, she has to have lice in order to have nits. Sorry, but the treatment's still the same. We have to get rid of this situation. The life cycle of a louse is about 30 days. When those eggs hatch, those nymphs, those babies, live a childhood for about 10 to 15 days. And then at about 15 days, they start to date, fall in love, get married, and then have babies. That female louse will lay about 50 to 150 eggs in her lifetime, which ends at about 30 days. And in that 15 days of laying eggs, she has left behind a legacy and a generation, and many generations if it's not dealt with. So if you catch a case early, you may only have nits and not find the bugs. She's in there somewhere. You may only have a couple of bugs and many nits. But once those eggs are hatching and developing, then by 3-4 weeks, you have a full-blown case of many, many bugs all over the head and many, many eggs. And where did lice come from? Well, they've been around at least since Yetziat Mitzrayim. The exodus from Egypt, when we had plague number 3, was Kenan, lice, and they've been spreading head to head. They are mostly spread head to head and can be also on surfaces. If somebody with lice lay it on a couch, a bed, a chair, use a brush, a hat, sweatshirt, or anything like that, and some bugs transfer to the surface, they can transfer into somebody else's head. So we need to be mindful of that when we're treating it and when we're trying to get rid of it and we're trying to prevent it. Now, when I was a school nurse, I always encouraged all the girls to wear their hair up, especially in the preschool. Hair gets in their face, it's all gross, whatever. There's other reasons to keep it up, but certainly access when the hair is down and flying away and they're all into each other's face, then it's going to be much more spreadable. But if the hair is up in braids and buns and, neat against the head and not near other kids, then it is much less likely to spread and catch it. The treatments, there are many treatments. There's machlokas with the medical community, with lice experts all over about what the best treatment is. The main idea is you need to kill the bugs. You need to stop them from laying eggs. That is super important. And then you need to remove the eggs before they hatch. Nothing kills the eggs. There are treatments that kill bugs, but nothing kills the eggs. So it's a combination of killing the bugs and then removing all the eggs. Get a good lice comb and plan to spend the next couple of weeks dealing with it. I personally, in my experience over 30 years, I prefer grease treatments. I find that they are the most effective and the least side effects and no toxic chemicals. And listen, if there was a toxic chemical that worked, if there was a pesticide that worked, I might consider it, one shot deal, let's do that. But they don't even work. I've worked with all the pesticides on the market and none of them are effective against the lice that we're dealing with in our community. So I like the good old-fashioned oil, grease, Crisco, shortening, margarine type of methods that suffocate the bugs. There are some products that are alcohol-based that I see promise with, very, very high concentration of alcohol that have been showing some good promise in killing bugs. And they also no pesticides, so less side effects. And then there's the combing out. Now, there are a lot of people who will swear by combing with conditioner, baking soda, with baking soda, without baking soda. That's all great and wonderful for combing. They don't kill the bugs. So you have to be really, really good at combing to get every single bug and all those eggs out for it to be really effective. For some people, I recommend don't just rely on that. Also do a grease-based treatment to kill any bugs that have survived the combing. But those methods in general can be very effective. Now, not everybody can do this on their own. That's okay. I have seen families fall apart from having to deal with this. I've had families where a set of twins was just born, 5 kids in the family, even the babysitter, the parents, everybody had lice. Mom's falling apart from this. You need to ask for help. You need to delegate. You need to be open about it. There is no shame in having lice. There is nothing to be embarrassed about. Just like with COVID, when you have it, you have to tell people so that they can get checked, and there's no shame in it. And it's important to stop the spread by telling people that you have it. Same thing with lice. Halavai lice was our biggest issue. I look forward one day for lice to be our biggest problem. But that's the same idea, that if your family has lice, it happens to the best people, to the cleanest people, to the richest, to the poorest, to dirty, to clean, to people who are neurotic about every single little crumb in their house and every germ, to people who are more laid back. It happens to everybody. And it's important to be open and honest about it with others if your child or you have lice or any exposure, that you are sharing that information openly, freely, and honestly to stop the spread of it so that other families don't have to deal with it. And ask for help. It's okay to ask your neighbors, your friends, your mother-in-law, anybody to ask for help. It is very overwhelming. I have seen some moms need some mental, emotional counseling afterwards. They go through PTSD about it. They become OCD about it. It's a trigger for mental health conditions very often. Unfortunately, it's not just a nothing for some families. And that could be how the parents are dealing with it, how the family's dealing with it. And also the child. The child can become very concerned about it and ashamed of it and obsessed with it. The child can also, if it's not dealt with physically, they can have infections on their head from scratching, from bleeding. Unfortunately, I have seen cases of undiagnosed lice be misdiagnosed as ADHD because the kids aren't shpilkas. They're constantly scratching, itching. They're not sleeping well. They're very fussy and they're not paying attention because of it. That's a very extreme case. It's very uncommon, but that's the extremes that lice can cause damage. It's not a nothing, but in the grand scheme of things, it really is. So if you take an approach of, let's just get this done, let's be open and honest, let's ask for help when we need it, then you'll be able to handle it. And as far as keeping it away, it's very important to check your kids on a regular basis. Or if you've been exposed, get checked. What does checking mean? Just going through the hair, looking for those eggs, combing through on a regular basis if you live in a high-risk area. Here in Israel, it's very common, but not just Israel, Europe, South America, it's pretty much endemic. Most kids are walking around with it on a regular basis. And weekly checks of their children are important to keep it from getting out of control. But even in America, where the school nurses are really strict about it lately, it's been a secondary thing to other bigger issues that we have to deal with. Social distancing has been great for lice, I have to say, and I'm like an oncologist. I would love to be put out of business. I would love to get rid of this. I would love to not have to deal with lice. And it's been a slow year, Baruch Hashem, because people are just not being exposed because they're not that close to each other. So, keep that in mind as far as how it spreads. Once the kids are getting back together and there's less social distancing, it might start to come out again. And really don't depend on the school nurses. Don't depend on other people to take care and to look at your kids. If your kid says they're itching, don't assume mosquito bite. Assume lice first and then go backwards from there. And if you don't know what you're looking for, ask somebody to help you who does. And Bezrat Hashem, you'll be able to get rid of the lice or keep it from happening altogether. So good luck, and everybody should be healthy and well, and halavai should be our big problem, and we get rid of the bigger issues that our community is dealing with, and everybody should be healthy and well.